everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Maria. Thank you for joining me if you're here today. And if you're a new subscriber, welcome. So here's my channel where I just talk about this and that, whatever's on my mind. To be totally straight up with people, sometimes the topics I talk about are just off the cuff. It's just something that interests me. Most times it's about mental health, psychology, media-made myths, folklore, legend that oftentimes people believe from media depictions or what they've learned um, in folklore and family folklore around the dinner table and how we've grown up to um, think something and then find out it's not that way. And um, sometimes the belief systems that we come up with and how we come up with them, I talk about that. I also review books. I also um, cook short videos, and I tend to do my best talking when I'm doing a long, like labor-intensive kind of cooking thing, and I talk about topics. So most of you will know me from the Mom series, The Misunderstanding of Multiplicity, or Awesome Mastered Mosaics, and I changed the name to Maria Mosaic, just because I have a lot of topics I want to talk about, and I don't want to always have it be about multiple personality. There's so much out there, um, you know? So today I followed the Queen's casket on every news channel to Scotland, which was quite a long drive. And then eventually, September 11th, Memorial started to get some news. So that's what's going on today, this Sunday. Prayer Reflection Day for all of the victims in the September 11th tragedy that were killed, and all of the rescue workers and everything. There's never a moment I don't think about it. I was kind of glad that today it was a rainy day. I'm in Western New York, so I'm nowhere near the towers, but I think everybody can remember where they were during that time period and how profoundly it affected the world. And so we're having like two coinciding things going on: the death of the Queen, the passing of a monarch, the coming in of a new monarch, the King Charles. And he was proclaimed officially king yesterday, so I watched that. As I said, I like to watch all things royal. We saw the Fast Four come back, the Prince William and Catherine, Kate, and Meghan and Prince Harry were out there greeting the crowd. It was unexpected, and I gotta say, it put me in an emotional state where I was bawling all day, thinking about how families can have rifts and people can be cut out of the family for seasons, and it takes one person to extend, and then, um, and often a tragedy, and then people come together. And some people have said it was a photo op, or Meghan looked like she was being dragged or held hostage. I don't even want to go there. Harry was brought up by his grandmother and his mother and his aunt, and boarding schools, and his dad. And William was brought up a good portion of their life from young kids. And I understand this because, like I've always said, my kids went to live with my cousin at 10 and a half and 8.5 years old. And I always think how horrible it would be for my children if they lost me and then lost them. And that is how it kind of feels for my kids right now. And so I was actually, it triggered a lot of, like, if you lost your parent as a primary caregiver and another person in the family was the person that stepped in, and now those people are gone. And Harry always said, and William, that their grandmother, even though she was the queen and she couldn't be there as much for Prince Charles, King Charles now, when he was younger, and they're in boarding schools a lot, they're in military, they're learning their role. They are a tight-knit family, and they were even though Queen, she was always just grandma to them. So grandma. So, um, so I was just an emotional mess yesterday, all day, all the way into the night. And it was good to see um, William kind of taking the high road and saying, because he realized his dad was saying, I wish Harry and Meghan well in their life overseas. We send love and whatever. And Harry unfortunately didn't make it. They're saying he rushed. He really rushed because he had a special relationship with the Queen. The grandma, being the youngest of a mother that was tragically killed, he had a very special relationship with her, and so did William. And um, they would have their private chats and everything and time. And so, when you lose a parent for any reason, for any season, even if they're still alive, the other primary caregivers become everything. So I guess he rushed and rushed, but she had already passed by 15 minutes. So it's a rough time for everyone in that family. So I keep thinking about them. But then I started thinking about grandmothers and I've been thinking about this topic for about 5 years, but I never knew how to really approach it because so many of my friends are grandmothers. I am 63, and they are the same age as me, and many of them have grandchildren. And so today I want my video to be about what women I'm going to say over 50, will never say out loud. I'm going to say it for them. And I watched my own grandmother, my mom's mom, struggle with this, and even my dad's mother struggle with this. When you become a grandmother, you love your grandchildren, and it's a chance to do everything over again and to do it better and to kind of like let your grandkids get away with a little bit more that you didn't. You learned more. You got wisdom, you're older. So you cherish that time. That said, you don't want to become a full-time mother all over again. And a lot of women don't know how to tell their kids, no. 60 is like the new 30, 40. I'm building my business. I got stuff to do. I don't want to do it. No. So they, and then there's special circumstances where mothers cannot really care for their children or their special needs. So the grandparents jump in, and the kids really are living between the grandparents and mothers. And I see this a lot where I live. Um, a lot of the grandmothers are very involved in their grandchildren's lives because either their daughters or sons can't parent, or there's a divorce going on, or somebody's coming back from a hospital or whatever. The same reasons my mom's mom moved in with um, my brother and me is that my mother was unable to really keep house and parent for a while. But it was kind of two things at once. In that generation, it was also providing a home for my grandmother. And so you would put the grandmother with the grown kids with the daughter or sister that didn't have a husband. So, but in our case, my mom's mom was always kind of with us, and then she would go off weekends to other kids. And I don't say this to hurt my cousins on my mom's side at all. My grandmother loved all of her grandchildren. Um, but I think my brother and I got a bird's eye view, or maybe not my brother so much, maybe just when my mother and I were around, we got to really see the turmoil that she went through in having to care for the grandchildren as much as she was doing, and even us. She resented it. And I watched her stuff her face and just keep getting bigger and bigger. And women are ashamed to talk about this. It's like saying you don't want to be a mother once you have kids. Like, I just don't want to do that. A lot of times if there's a husband, a grandfather, they have plans to travel. They've been working their whole life. Now you get to like 65, you don't want to stay in the same state. You want to move. You want to be a snowbird or whatever. And it's really hard for people to understand, well, how can my kids grow up without grandkids? What's wrong with them? They're not staying home, and I can't just bring the kids to my mother and father's. No. I hear some grandmothers around here, they absolutely take yeah, all of their frustration out on the grandkids. They don't want to be held down with grandkids. They have raised their kids and they want their kids to bring the kids over and visit, and they want to be able to give them back. And they don't want it to be every day. And nobody talks about this. It's sort of like menopause. Nobody talks about it. And a lot of women are going through menopause during the time their daughters and sons are having children. And it's just not the same era anymore. Women that are getting older have a life of their own, commitments. They want to do lunch with their friends. They want to go on vacations. They want to have their weekends free. And they love playing with their grandkids and dressing them up and taking them shopping. And they want the grandma brag book. They want to be able to take the pictures, put them all over Facebook, whatever. And they absolutely love, and they are good grandparents. They don't want to be saddled with raising the kids or a backup babysitter or date night babysitter or every time something happens, babysitter. And I want you guys to weigh in about this, about how you feel. I know a lot of my friends are always posting the pictures of the grandkids, and they will quietly say, I miss my grandkids. I got to get to see them. But then, and especially during the pandemic. And they really enjoy their time, but they want to get back to their alone time. My own experience with my dad's mom was, I mean, all the grandkids would call her. Once my grandfather died, we would check in and call her at different days. And my father would kind of remind me and say, have you checked with grandma? Have you talked to her lately? That kind of clued me in that, okay, I waited too long. I better call grandma. The thing was, when I would call my dad's mom, I'd say, hi, grandma, how are you? She'd say, what do you mean, how are you? And a lot of it may have been a barrier. She'd say, good, I'm busy, busy. Say, oh, well, I just called to say hello and see how you're doing. Say, I work. What do you think I do? I work all day. Okay, I've got something on the stove. And it would be like within minutes, it would be like trying to let me know. It was always the same conversation. How are the kids? Oh, I go to the store, I wash the floor, I got something on the stove. I watch the TV show, I put it away. What am I gonna do? I work, I keep busy. And okay, thanks for calling. Love you. And I would always feel like, I mean, I knew she didn't, she absolutely adored and loved me when I had time with her. She was 100% there. Always. She would do anything for her grandchildren. But it was that feeling of like checking up on and checking in and checking up on is so different. And as you get older, even at my age, 63, there's a feeling of our kids checking in on us. Or if I had grandkids, it would feel like that sometimes, or like doing the dutiful thing. And then my mother's mother was a whole different story. Um, she lived with my mother and me and my brother and my father when he lived there for a while, most of their married life. And then in other cousins and her kids' houses at different times, had babies and stuff. Um, but she was never her happiest until she got her own apartment just a couple of years before her death. So happy to be on her own and have her own kitchen and her own bedroom and do her own thing and have a little tiny garden and just not have to worry about us kids coming home. What did Maria do? What did this one do? What did that one do? What did she and being carted around. And so I really got to know, I think, the grandmother that a lot of my cousins really didn't know. Because by the time she got to their house on a holiday or for a weekend or whatever, and all the grandkids were going to be there, she was in full grandma mode. She was in the kitchen doing the fried dough, doing the popcorn, doing everything. Putting out the limbo stick, telling us to do the twist. Here, take a towel, the whole thing. She was in full grandma mode. But that is not the grandmother I grew up with. And I think it's just really important to mention that because it's something that women don't talk about. And when their grown kids are pregnant, they're happy, they're excited, they can't wait to see their grandkids. They cherish their time with their grandkids, but they do not want to be the default date night, weekend, going on vacation, and they don't want to have to be committed to living in the same town because their grandkids are there. And I just want to know if you guys want to weigh in and tell me how you feel about that because it does go around in little circles and nobody talks about it. So I'm going to talk about it. And I think there's more folks out there um, than anybody would admit to. There's more people out there that do feel that way. They kind of like get through their time with their kids, their grandkids, in a whirlwind of baking, going, let's build a bear, let's go here, let's do this activity, let's do that, and phew. And that's the beauty of it. You can give them back. But what if you couldn't? What if you were the grandmother that, like maybe somebody, especially if people are income scarce and impoverished, and it was okay. Your mommy's going to go to work, and you're going to stay at grandma and grandpa's all day, or grandma's going to come. You're going to go to grandma's. I had a neighbor that literally from birth to 4 years old, her grandson was in the house all the time, and from a baby, she was just so irate that her daughter, she wanted to be paid. They would fight over a check that came for daycare that should have gone to her. And I mean, they would fight over who was the mother. So there could be a whole lot of dynamics going on between a grandmother that's always taking care of the kids, and the kids grow up learning, listen to grandma, and they don't always listen to their mother, or listen to your mother and only sometimes listen to your grandma. So I'm going to be talking about that in the next few videos, and I just thought I'd give everyone a heads up on that. And that's it. That's all I got to say. I hope you'll drop me a line and share your memories with your grandmas and grandpas, and tell me what you really think. Um, at your age now, if you're around that grandparent age, is it a mixed emotion? You can't wait to see your grandkids. You're happy for your kids, but is there a but there? Is there a Let me know in the comments below. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye-bye.